catch this on the replay. So welcome to everyone.
Hit the record button so that everyone can.
So we have our beautiful soul brother Lucas Diamond, and he's come to meet us all and connect with our community. And I encountered Lucas, I think it was about a year ago, about a year and a half ago, and you did a video with Kevin, that guy Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
And when I heard you speak, I was so blown away. I was like, oh my God, it's so rare to hear a divine masculine speak in this way with such clarity and such resonance. And I was very, very struck by your vibration and by your wisdom and the journey that you've been on that has got you to this place of, of being able to hold such deep gnosis, particularly around the divine union template and all that. So I would just like to say welcome, Lucas. It's so lovely to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's an honor to be here and sending my love to everyone listening live and in the recording.
That's amazing. So may I ask you just to give us a little bit of a background of like how you got to this place of, you're a teacher, you're a guide, you're a facilitator, you've come into union with your twin flame, you have a beautiful daughter. Obviously life's not perfect on this realm, but so many of these big boxes are getting ticked. And so I'd love like to have an introduction of like, a bit about your journey and how you got here to this place.
Okay, yes. Let's start about over 22 years ago. I was in a process called AB, and this is a beautiful activation you can do with the group. Anyone who runs groups, the A's get in the middle, eyes closed, just standing there, just like this, open to receive. And then the B's, whoever's a B, goes around with nice music playing and just gives unconditional love, just hugs the A's. And the A's are just to receive. So it's a practice in giving and receiving, maybe whisper something nice, give and embrace. So for 20, 30 minutes, the A's receive and then switch and then the B's receive.
Wow.
And I had just given for 20 minutes, just hugs unconditionally without receiving back, just pouring my love into all these souls. And then I was receiving, and something very mystical happened in my heart. But you might hear my daughter squealing in the background. My heart blew open, and I felt myself expand from an individual consciousness out, connecting to the group field, connecting to the planetary field, connecting to the galactic field, connecting to the universal field, connecting to this source field, where it felt like everything was in this expansive heart, unified beyond time and space in a harmonically heavenly tone. And it felt so ecstatic. It felt so congruent. It felt like a deep divine remembrance of divine selfhood, of unified consciousness, of the higher realms from which we emerge. And it left such a deep imprint. And then I kind of boomeranged back, and I became smaller and smaller back down into my body. And what was interesting is when I became the size of the earth, something in my heart went, oh, like this almost like a muscle tearing in my heart. Like I could feel the pain of humanity and all these memories of what's happened to humanity, to the earth, to the divine feminine, to the divine masculine, to really kind of mutate the original Edenic templates into all this kind of hybridization and fallen energetic and war and pain and suffering and what's happening to the children, and all bundled up in this karmic energetic in my heart. And so I came back and I was bawling uncontrollably. That launched me on a mystical path to understand how to connect back to that consciousness and how to deal with this heavy pain that I was now aware of in my soul contract to be connected to the collective in that way. So that launched me. That was the first moment, and I'm sure some people can relate. And it was my willingness to go into that pain and through the pain and all the way to retrieve the medicine for those different elements of pain that then took me. And I'll just share this vision that I received about 21 years ago. when I was on the boardwalk in Monterey in California and looking over the ocean and the sun, the clouds open and the sun was dispensing light upon my crown. And it was the first time I received a download. I know a lot of people say downloads. And what I mean by that is this stream of like packet of source information in the frequency of light, sound came down. And it was almost like I was just receiving something. Like I was a radio receiving this frequency band. And as it came into my crown consciousness, I was receiving simultaneous vision and understanding, and I saw a future timeline of this earth, a possibility of all these nodal networks around the planet, and all these different eco villages and new philanthropy schools for kids, new civilization, and these bubbles that are harnessing this new earth consciousness, even though that word is sometimes used out of its true blueprint, but this higher vision. And I saw myself with children, I saw myself in the future, I saw myself in a position of leadership. And at that time I was still young, I just new to my awakening. I felt completely underqualified to even accept that vision or to feel the weight of that responsibility. And that launched me even more on the path to the point where I probably became addicted to self-help in a way where every moment of free time, the next the next empowerment workshop, the next teacher, the next guru, the next certification. And it gave me a lot of jewels, but also got me in a lot of trouble in the sense that I traveled to over 33 countries. Like I always wanted to be Indiana Jones, so I just studied with teachers, got their initiations, and then realized, wow, a lot of this is false light. A lot of these are twilight masters. A lot of these are working with the dark and the light. Some of these are completely taking over. And I just gave myself in full surrender just to open to it all. And then I learned that, and then I had to unweave from that. So I didn't want the story to take so long. Let me see if I can bridge to where we are now. I had a phase of becoming a teacher in Japan. An old lifetime as a teacher bled through. I became kind of this guru figure, and it went to my head. So I learned the process of the masculine ego feeling inflated, having success, a degree of fame and wealth, and a couple hundred students, in a sense, putting me on a pedestal, and the intoxication of that. Then I experienced the fall of that with the Fukushima earthquake, which I was in, which informed me of this new evolutionary consciousness coming in that is helping to have us all connect direct and then work in this synarchic evolutionary structure that is different from a previous hierarchical structure. Not to say there aren't structures and different angelic hierarchies, but it's an evolved way of interaction, and I collapsed that template, dissolved all the constructs. And long story short, in my path, I went through the path of surrender. I went to India, gave up all my wealth. I had a treasure box of gold, silver, platinum. I just let everything go. Went to India, to this cave in India, and that's where I was guided to come to Kauai. And I really reached a place of what I felt was a harmonic communion. But the message that I received was, you need to go back to the mainland and prepare for your family, your wife, your divine union. And so I left my little bubble of bliss, my comfort, and went back into the collective of the United States, California. And I went through a long journey of evolving and going through different relationships, and becoming a coach, relationship coach, then voice coach, spiritual coach, all the things. A 7-year journey until I seem to have graduated from that business California coach consciousness field, and COVID hit, and I came back to Kauai, and that is where I reached the point where I believe most men, and probably you could say most humans, although I think I think women are so in touch with their heart and their feelings, it's easier that they don't have to go through this moment I'm about to describe. But for a lot of men, we have been targeted to have our hearts develop a kind of numbing shield, a hardened protective layer around how much pain we actually feel, or how much we actually desire something. And I was able to really reach a point of just realizing how done I was with certain patterns of avoiding the deepest core essence of what I desired and the pain of the heart. Okay, and so I surrendered through this process, to restore my devotional template of saying, okay, divine source, higher self, God, I totally have been trying to do this on my own in some way, or just you, you know put my future beloved on this throne of my consciousness, and really it's you that I want to put on my throne, and my communion with you, and my purpose, whatever you have me do. And I invite you to fill me up, partner with me, commune with me in a way that's never been done before. And in our unification, I will follow everything that I'm guided to do each day and feel through all of this. And I know you'll bring to me my deepest longing, my beloved, in the physical when it's time. And I just trust you, and I'm willing to do anything that is in alignment with that. And I put you on the throne. And in that energetic, that's what brought in my union partner. She arrived within 2 months after that, even though I imagined it would take a lot longer. We went through a beautiful process of cleaning up a lot of the divine union splits. We tracked what happened in the different timelines, specifically Atlantis and Lemuria, all the way back to Lyra and those falls. And each one, we did timeline corrections for each one. And in that, we worked on our inner children, and we worked on clearing the genetics that we got from our ancestors, so that we could have a conscious conception of this beautiful, high angelic soul that wanted to come in. And when we finished that work, I knew it was done, and I knew it was time for the conscious conception. And it was a deep process. It wasn't fun. We really had to go into just the uncomfortable truths of what has occurred to our genetic lineages, and really track that, and then re-imprint a new choice point, a new template, and then eradicate that. And so that's my daughter, Alea Aurora Rose, who was born above the Kekua Bay, the Dolphin Bay, on April 9th of last year. She's 9 months now, squealing in the back. And she really does carry this the still point, which is the energy of union. You come together, and this is the last thing I say. I know I've been talking for quite a while. Thank you for
amazing. It's beautiful.
The still point is this place where, beyond time and space, there's this love intelligence, and it's all expansive, and this eternal grace that carries this code of serenity and arrival and relief. It's when you get there, there's relief, because it's what we've always been, what we've always had, what we've always known, what is going to be, what has always been, and what can be now if we just surrender and allow. And that's that entering into that still point. And Saskia and I always had that, beyond the ego identities and the layers and the woundings that was there. And our love and our union was emergent from that place. And so whenever we commune with that place, that's what exists. And our daughter carries that so well. She really just looks into your eyes, and in order to appease her, I have to return to the still point. I need to, it's like she'll sometimes cry if Saskia and I are out of touch with the still point. And then when we come back into our hearts, she'll calm down. It's almost like she she is requesting our integrated life mastery. And the integrated life mastery system is something that's been coming through for quite a while. I've been working on it over the last 20 years, and there's different facets of how we can live in communion, where we can serve at our highest potential and have it all in integrity, meaning we can have divine prosperity and health and wealth and love and all the things, and be joyful and healthy, and not have to sacrifice one for the other like we've had to in different incarnations, or we thought we had to, and really experience a true fulfillment codex.
Wow, that's really, really amazing, and so much to meditate on and to sit with, you know. And it's interesting because I was speaking to my really good friend Zoe just before we jumped on a call, and she asked about you, and I said that, like, sometimes when you write, it's like it's like we're singing from the same hymn sheet, and it's so unusual, because I know the work that I've done on myself to get to that place of being able to transmit at that level, at such a pure level, and I feel that, like, we're so similar, and it's so rare for me, especially in a masculine form, to find someone that has really reached a very, very similar level, and even just like the language and the modalities and the tools that we're working with are pretty much identical, and that just shows that it's like, as our consciousness evolves up the pyramid, it's like we're all receiving the same information as we become empty, and, you know, become empty vessels and empty channels. Then the light of the Christ itself fills us, and it has exactly the same roadmap to get ourselves out of trauma, individual and collective trauma. And so for me, when I hear you speak, it's so validating of the modalities that I've been working with and that I share. And particularly, like, one of my big things that I share a lot about is the Atlantis timeline. And you know, I've been working with twin flames for many years, and I've written a book called Twin Flames in the Event, and I speak a lot about it in my book. But what I noticed, that when people used to come to sessions for me to help them clear, like, you know, patterns of rejection and unworthiness and stuff like that, that it would almost always invariably link back to that separation, that core separation at Atlantis. And so I was guided to bring through this modality where we actually go back to the timeline of Atlantis, and we just simply change the script so that we imprint upon our subconscious mind that we didn't experience that cataclysmic separation from each other. You know, because the information that I brought through was that the fact that the Atlanteans in Atlantis, we were living in quite a lot of harmony, particularly at the beginning, after it sort of like came from Lemuria, then into Atlantis, and at that point this Martian energy came in, which brought in the, you know, the consciousness of control and ownership and separation, and it was this energy that lured the divine masculines to separate and to kind of like fight the wars of the overlords and stuff like that. And it was through that decision, that cataclysmic moment of separation, where the divine masculine separated from the divine feminine, that, as far as I can ascertain, activated a somewhat of a tear in the soul consciousness. And most lifetimes we have been dealing with that, and that has been compounded in each lifetime because the root of the core separation has never been addressed. So I've had so much, you know, many breakthroughs in my sessions. When people heal that lifetime, then they just easily manifest their divine partners, because it's like pulling out the strongest weed of trauma and separation. So just hearing you speak, it's amazingly similar. And just in the sense of how, you know, when I had my awakening, I had a very, very powerful awakening when I was 21 in India, in Chamba. It was in India, there's a mountain called Kailash, which is very, very high up. It's not the Tibetan Kailash, it's connected to Manimesh and Kailash. And I ended up having a very, very powerful spiritual awakening on top of this mountain. And I can't remember what my exact point was about that, but anyway, it certainly did change my life, and it put me into a very, very highly exalted state of consciousness. And can't exactly remember where I was going with that. I'm sure it will come back to me. but yeah, it's been a real oh yeah, that was it, because when I had my awakening, I was getting all these downloads about how our society is going to change, and we are going to live in spiritual communities. That's all that's going to happen. We're gonna anchor these Eden communities, and you know, we're going to have temples, we're going to have schools, like true higher knowledge schools. We're going to, you know, have communal spaces, but we're all going to have our individualized pods, and it's all going to be about evolution and about us evolving and really stabilizing in our mastery codes. So yeah, just confirming like stuff that you said. I'm also having that direct experience, but I must admit I did think it would happen a lot sooner. Like, I'm still living in a house in England, and I met a lot of the rainbow crew, like, and I thought, oh, this is the crew, we're going to get our land, we're going to do it, we're going to buy the land, we're going to build the community. But a lot of these souls ended up going on the dissension path, and they started choosing the left-hand path of alcoholism and hedonism, because these were very spiritual people who I believe are part of the 144, but a lot of them are sitting on their high spiritual laurels, thinking they can get away with sort of like abusing their body, and they're not going to get addicted, but actually they did get addicted. And so a lot of these people, they fell, you know, they joined the Nephilim crew, like, there's no other way to say it, but they did. And you know, and people like myself, we very much stayed on the ascension path, but it just got smaller. The pool got smaller and smaller as we all kind of, like, you know, evolved on this path. And here I am now, and I still haven't, you know, quite manifested the land, and haven't quite I've got the abundance to manifest the land, but I haven't quite manifested the crew just yet. Just yeah.
No, so a couple of things that you shared I want to point on. One is, yes, we had it does seem to be taking a bit longer. It's stretching our patience, and some of our crew, part of the, as you said, the 144, are those who are really here to anchor their pillar and co-create in synergy, as you said, where we're all connected to that divine architecture of that vision, and we really start building together. Got a little bit sidetracked, either went in the descension path or went in this false light Luciferian path, where they think that they're ascending, but they're connecting with an energy that is a duplication of the ascension matrix, with some inversions to trap them in this field. So all these different things can be happening, and those of us that are really staying in our devotional heart, and moving forward, there's the need for patience, and there's the need now that we're going to start connecting with each other more and more, and in the connection points, like today, you and I, it's the convergence, and we're converging and empowering each other's divine templates and purpose templates, and then we're connecting with the ley lines of the earth, and there is a forging, there's a quickening fortification. At least we're activating that now, Jen, and we're going to start quickening the manifestation, materialization of these visions, simply because it's time, and we use our word to align with that divine will and divine timing, and we start executing that. And in order to do that, we do have to finalize these core soul heart fragmentations and healings, as you mentioned. What happened in Atlantis is one of the bigger ones. And tracking throughout all the timelines in which either we individually experience a fragmentation of an aspect of us due to a trauma or torture or something happening, our divine union splits, our core soul monadic splits, and all the way up. And so I do feel like there is this many of us have done this soul level work, and we've done this union work, and we've done this oversoul work, and many are on this monadic level work, where we're finally breaking through the 12D, the 11D reversal. Sometimes I don't like using kind of 11D, all this dimensional languaging, but the way that I can just language it, if I had all the time to break it down, there's this 12D energetic space, or avatar self space, that has no reversal in this galaxy, that there is no force Nephilim, Anunnaki, Grey, Reptilian, Draco, Force, or other energies that can or ever have tainted this aspect of us. And through healing this monadic split, what happened in the fall of Lyra, the stealing of the Stargate, and going all the way back to that galactic, those memories, we're really bringing forth a part of us that is even beyond that. And as that part is anchoring in, we're finalizing these leftover parts of us that got split. And then this is really where the materialization happens. This is where we meet in the synarchy of not just one of our upper dimensional selves that is still kind of in the duality of war, but this aspect of us that is truly in a command space, that can command peace, that can command victory, that can command an energy, at least in our own internal field. And as we connect in this way of the spirit of victory in the higher dimensional place that is neutral to those forces of fear, that has conquered fear in our own hearts and has unified, yet has gone through the wisdom of discernment to have appropriate boundaries with the temptation and trickery of these false light forces, then we're coming into this balanced, true family that is now ready to really build what we're all wanting to build together.
Wow, that's a lot to digest, and yeah, that was very, very beautifully and articulately spoken. Thank you so much. So a lot of my book is about how twin flames and divine partnerships are really the main anchor for the new earth, and the reason being is that every time a true divine partnership anchors, this basically, for me, it's like it pierces the firmament. There's this firmament above us, and it's like the veil to the higher dimensional realms. But every time we recognize our twin flame, it's like this a piercing light kind of like bursts the firmament, and God's holy grace can pour in through that channel, and somehow it's like that stabilized holy energy is what is going to assist us to ground the Garden of Eden, the new earth. And I speak about that a lot, and I just wondered if you were of a similar sort of like a viewpoint about that.
Yes, I always felt that, and I came to a place before meeting Saskia where um, I really liked the idea of sovereignty, and you know, I can do everything in my own direct channel and my own connection. But what I realized while being with her is that everything you're saying is absolutely true, that it's actually through the individual surrender and communion with that divine force that we're brought what we need to have those breakthroughs. And in my case, and I believe in many of our soul tribe and soul families case, it is that union template that is the pathway out of the firmament, as you called it, to that exalted piercing of grace and divine healing. And it really took Saskia and I going through deep protocols of purification and surrender, to because it was always there, but to be able to have it sustain. And that's what happens with a lot of twin flames and divine unions, is they come together and they've pierced the firmament, yet there's still little leaks and little holes in the divine union field. And there's forces and entities and beings that can see that, can try and come through whatever person or whatever leak or whatever wound to get that union to destabilize, because it's such a threat, because that union is anchoring such a powerful frequency that is clearing everywhere they go. The grid work is happening. Just the old constructs of fear that has been embedded through the ley lines of the earth in particular places, and the imprints where certain entities have control to siphon off of others, it gets cleared. So certain beings get threatened by that, and that's why divine unions are some of the most attacked people on the planet, until they really seal up and really anchor that in. And it's an unfortunate reality that I've experienced of people who are really, really devoted and really doing the work and not in a false light, and not trying to just transcend duality by connecting with the triality consciousness and saying all is one, everything is just a reflection, there is no dark unless you allow it, everything is this. They've sided with a distorted truth. So because there is truth to that, but in this realm they've cited the truth is embellished and used to bring people into a false matrix so that Luciferian consciousness can siphon them while giving them a false protection from attack. And then they think there is no attack, there is no dark forces, but they're in this false light bubble, not really anchored in truth, not really seeing what's happening here, not really feeling what they need to feel. So this energy that's kind of coming forth through me now is this choice point of saying I'm willing to see through all illusion, to feel everything I need to feel, to become all that I need to become, to pierce through all false light, to really claim back my power, to claim my sovereignty, to become all that I am, to let all aspects of me die. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to so that my embodied strength is stronger than all evil, is stronger than all illusion, is stronger than anyone that has ever tried to repress us. And even my anger is used as a fuel, a transmutational energy that will pierce and create liberation. And I will not deny or reject any part of me, but I will bring it all into the fires of integrated embodiment and forge a path of liberation, whatever it takes.
Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you for raging as the divine masculine. And I feel that in a way it's almost harder to be incarnated in this realm for the divine masculine, and for you to navigate your path home is extraordinarily challenging. It's challenging for all of us, but I really feel for the divine masculine there are extra boulders that are put on your path, and for you to be able to navigate through them takes a very just pure focus. Like you have to be focused on the goal, which is liberation, bliss, truth, authenticity, and it's being your true self, so that false self is no longer sitting around the table. And so much of that is the heavy duty programming that has been enforced upon the masculine, especially through other men and other men's expectations of other men, that's so heavy. And for a man to say, look, I don't care for your opinion, I don't care if you think this about me, I'm my true self. It feels like the feminine, even though it's hard for us, it isn't quite as hard, so I fully honor you and your sacred rage, and I know that as it burns for all men and women and children, and for all of us, because that's what the agenda of the matrix has sought to do. It's tried to suppress that fire and just sort of like, oh, you're all in prison, just get on with it, you're gonna have nice food, you can watch some crappy TV, but you're in prison, let's not rage, let's just all just be okay with that. But of course that's not the world that we are going to be passing on to our children. This bullshit crappy world, we're not going to be passing that on. Well, the programming of it anyway, it's absolutely beautiful in its truth. So I really hear you, my brother.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. I've actually never heard someone say that before. That men have I've read that men have extra numbing shields to work through. The way that you said that was very beautiful. Yeah. And I think I want to share that there is a place where we as men transcend, we transform our rage into this deep embodied wisdom and grace and divine fatherly emanation. And I'm in that process, And the reason I sometimes bring that energy through is because, as you said, it's what's consciously squashed in one of two ways, or many ways. One of them is the repetitive programming that makes men feel submissive, afraid of their power, afraid of their rage, where they demonize their own anger, and it gets repressed and put somewhere else, and they're just this kind of, oh yeah, they evade what they really feel. And the other way is through this kind of false spiritual light, where an aspect of them has connected to a higher truth, but uses that truth to bypass what they're feeling, and then an aspect of them gets left in some other world while they're just embodying one aspect of them, but they're not doing the integration work to bring all of them together. And they're this kind of, I've met a lot of masters around the planet who have large followings, because I used to specifically go to see what's going on with them. And in my experience of them, I found um, that many of them had sided with either Anunnaki forces in order to get the support of greater magnetism, to get the magic where they can go like that and people feel like that, and they don't realize that they have whole Anunnaki technology working through them with false spiritual ascension light to make it seem like they're real masters, but they've sided with a force that isn't of the highest order. Or they just, there's not, let's just say this, I haven't met any man yet in my quest who's reached that level where they are true embodiment of the Divine Father. And I would, it's, I would like to create a space now that you're speaking, and my heart is hurting for the men, because a fragment of the masculine consciousness has been rejected on a collective level, and also unconsciously by a wounded feminine. And it's abiding for most men. It's abiding, wanting to reintegrate, but not feeling love, not feeling accepted. And in certain moments, men who are not aware of the pain of this and the fragmentation will erupt. And instead of utilizing that anger in a stream dedicated towards liberation or towards protection of the field, it is an outlash. And a lot of men either shut down completely and become weak, or they claim a false power and it erupts through in a very harmful way. And I've been on both sides of that, so I understand. And I really, really want to create a field where the integration of the true restored power of a masculine being, and a man embodied, and the masculine in all of us can really find invitation to be embraced, to be welcomed home from the war. You don't have to fight in the same way. You can release your contracts with the old generals and every war you ever fought with. You don't have to give your power and your balls because you feel guilty that you did something. You don't have to have a false bravado and protective mechanism to keep from being siphoned by the dark feminine. You just get to be you in your full, glorious divine masculine self that is already encoded to be honorable and to preserve and protect and provide for the field through your emanation itself. And that's enough. And you are enough as you are. So just be you. I really want that template to really land for my brothers on this planet, on this path. And eventually I will create a protocol for that. And I'm letting myself I've been letting myself be taken through that protocol as I've emerged into my fatherhood. It's happening. And it's a fatherhood that is as you were mentioning, being sequenced from a higher realm. It's a fatherhood that is beyond genetic lineage. It's a fatherhood that ushers the integration of wholeness in all life, and everyone's path that you cross. There's a space that a father holds. You're a godfather for every soul, and so every soul that you see that you encounter, you're holding a space for the higher dimensional portal of the kingship arc, which is that higher dimensional portal that brings the schematics and the architecture and the blueprints and the laws and the wisdom that is specifically coded for that individual or for that species within that dimension to rise to the next level of their highest path and evolutionary trajectory. And so a true father is someone who holds that patiently, steadily, lovingly, compassionately holds that. And the patience is, and the compassion is what we all need for ourselves and for each other, and for the masculine that are still finding their way. And what the masculine really needs, at least what I have seen, and it's different for each man, but what the masculine really needs is this feeling of this compassion that you just demonstrated, that I know you've been through a lot. You have different like protective mechanisms and woundings, and you've been targeted in a specific way, just as the feminine has. And in a sense, the feminine has been violated in different ways that I can't even go into how much. Like, men also need to surrender to feel just a little glimpse of what the feminine has gone through, to open their heart to compassion as well. So it's not one side, but since we're speaking about the masculine needs the invitation of, no matter how fallen you've been, no matter how dark you in, no matter how dark an aspect of you is, no matter if you hate God and hate me and want to destroy everything, I'm willing to have a compassionate space for your integration into who you are, because I see you in who you are, and I hold that. And I hold a boundary, which I'm not going to enable those parts of you to take reign and violate or hurt me or anyone else, but I open a space of healing, and I open the space of trusting you to find that. And the trust, the not the blind trust or the enabling trust, but the trust that transmits faith in a man, sparks a flame that will burn their numbing shields to say, yes, I am willing to become who I am. However, the disbelief or the judgment or the fear of a man's darkness and rage, or the disappointment in a man, or the unforgiveness in a man, energetically transmits a space where he still has to protect. He still doesn't want to be seen, and therefore he can't see what he needs to work on. It's a very subtle, nuanced dynamic we're exploring here. I'm just speaking to one element of it.
Yes, very interesting. And one thing that particularly struck me when you were speaking was about sort of like the fallen man, and I've been studying in quite a lot of depth recently about white tantra and about non-ejaculatory sex, and about how that you know, it's such a part of our conditioning that that's just like normal sex. And actually, when men really practice that from a very young age, then that is what compounds so much of the shame that men feel, and many of the complex sort of like issues come from that, according to the teachings of white tantra. And so I just wondered if you've sort of like come across those teachings.
Yes, when I was 14, my father introduced me to Montauk Chia's work, which are some elements I enjoy and some I filter through. And so that was about the microcosmic orbit, about channeling the lower energies, you call it lower, or the denser energies up into Chi, into Shen, and creating a sexual circuit, so that lust energy first goes through an alchemical process up and is offered to the higher self, the divine source, and then brought back down. And so that particular process of learning to alchemize sexual energy and offer it to the divine, and have one sexual practice be part of a divine offering and exchange, and then utilizing sex sexual experiences in that same way, to do work in the field, to transmute, to bring in codes, to bring in energetic structures and frequencies, and sex becomes an act of restoration and rehabilitation of the DNA itself, because both parties offer the pleasure up to their higher self and then receive it um, in embrace. And as you mentioned, there are some pockets of shame or little blocks or distorted ways that our sexuality was hooked into collective grids or pornography grids that need to be cleared from, so we can actually receive that. And then so for me, I do believe in just listening each time in terms of whether to retain or release. I feel like I like the idea of being flexible, not rigid. And even if one is practicing cultivation but is accidentally released, a lot of men develop shame around that who try to become masters in that field, and so even that has to be let go of, and it's all embraced. And the practice, the kegels, the raising of the energy, the transmutation of the lust, the clearing of the pornographic unconscious fields, the clearing of the Nephilim genetic overlays, the liberation of all of that is a process, and it can happen through devotion, bringing devotion into one's sexual practice, whether it's an individual practice or with a partner. If someone is on a solo journey, they can still utilize their sexual practice, whatever it is, if they're abstinent, if they like to self-pleasure, if whatever it is, it's offered up in communion. So that's how my frequency and my feeling of it. But what I haven't done lately is really study the art of other people's tantric teachings and bringing it into our own. It's more of, we just do the cosmic tantra that emerges from our higher self. And there is some practice that's developing that we eventually want to teach our Divine Union Tantra, because I've never seen it in the way that it comes through us. But it's kind of our own sensitive, like not sensitive, but it's in our own field right now. I haven't figured out how to share it quite yet.
Wow, that's that's very, very interesting, and I'm sure the world would be extraordinarily benefited from hearing your offerings around that. And it's such a deep subject matter, and I was just wondering, what would be your message to the collective divine masculine who is hearing and receiving this energetically, of your message? What is your message to our brothers?
A lot of brothers, and before I give the message, I want to give a pre-frame, and then I'll give the message. A lot of brothers, even the ones that seem to be completely on it, have it all, confidence, are just showing up in their power. A lot of them have been targeted with a frequency attack, that you're not enough, and often that attack happened through the mother without the mother realizing it. There were maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They attack the father to get the father not to be present, and then the mother's emotional imbalance gets attacked, and then the boy tries to show up, but it's never enough. And I'm not saying this is for every man, but this is a epidemic, and often a mother-son enmeshment happens where the son tries to show up for the mother who's not being met by the husband and is not sourcing fully from God, and the boy tries to show up in an unconscious way, and sometimes even an aspect of the mother is allowing that to fill her own void that she's not getting from the husband. And then it creates this dynamic, a false self and a loyalty bind to the mother. Or the mother is in her own thing and does not see the boy, or the father doesn't see the boy, and then the boy questions his worth. Am I worthy? Am I good enough? And then the question comes. Either way, there's a void and a false quest to fill that void, and a false self gets developed. And a lot of men spend their entire life in one of these kind of patterns where they're either trying to answer that question, am I enough? Am I worthy? Do I belong? Through external success, and they're just working really hard to really prove to their unconscious questioning, prove to their parents, still in this proving hamster wheel from this core feeling of not enough. Or they're in this like false loyalty bind still to the wounded aspect of their mother that hasn't fully sourced, still feeling like a failure for never being able to save or make their mother feel better. And then that correlates to every aspect of their life, where they're just trying to be a nice guy, trying to do the right thing, trying to finally get over this feeling that's so deeply repressed they don't realize is there, that either I'm not enough, or I failed, or I didn't do enough for mom or dad or whatnot. So that's there for the majority of men, I would say, in my experience of working with a lot of men, in my own clearing through that. And so to really unweave and like cut through like the truth of what a lot, not all, but a lot of men really get to, and would benefit them to receive, is simply the transmission from the heart of my knowing that you are absolutely enough, that who you came as, who you were created as, not by your parents, but by this divine intelligence that's created all life, that has encoded the most perfected angelic human blueprint and the soul signature of who you are that no one else has, and all the gifts and abilities and the energy codex of who you've always been. It's just more than enough. It came as more than enough, and it was never your role to caretake the wounds of your parents. It was, and it also isn't your role to fill inner voids that were created through wounding from the world. And so what I'm gonna invite men to do is to first and foremost let go of all false loyalty binds, to try and fill unconsciously the void of mommy or daddy, brother, sister, or anyone else, and come back to this feeling of you are more than enough. And then source that feeling of what if you were raised by a divine father and divine mother, enlightened parents who really were so self-sourced with themselves, with each other, in their union, that they could see you for who you are, that they could encourage you to just blossom in your own natural, effortless attainment. And what if your growth could be more in that effortless attainment of that natural emergence? And any particular questioning belief, am I enough, do I belong, did I fail, or these heavy feelings, what if you could just source the antidote, the remedy, the medicine from the deepest place of your own truth in your own heart, and feel through all the pain and bring that as medicine for you, instead of trying to get it outside or numb yourself and distract yourself from it, and really take responsibility to be the father and the mother you've never had, and to become all that you are through that divine self-sourced place? Would you do it? Would you commit to it? Would you give that your all? If you say yes to it, then there is so much divine support and synchronicity and help, physically from human people who will show up in your life, but more metaphysically on a source, spiritual, energetic level. Energies will come to you. Angels will descend from the heaven to support you, to sound their trumpet, to hug you, to work on you in your sleep. But you have to meet it halfway. You have to be all in to your highest potential and your highest purpose. And so will you accept, A, that you're enough? Will you take full responsibility for sourcing from yourself and letting go of false loyalty, false purpose, false ego, false identification, let go of the hamster trap? And will you just make a clear, firm, and definite decision that deepens into a commitment and a way of life to follow your highest pathway of service, of purpose, and emerge as all that you are? If yes, then we are creating an energetic connection of those men who have said yes to this pathway, who've said yes to spiritual sovereignty, who have said yes to their highest alignment, who have said yes to their highest service in a way that does not compromise their soul or martyr them, but in a way that brings the ultimate joy and fulfillment. If you say yes to that, then receive the brotherhood, the restored brotherhood that is already here, that is a network of sovereignty, of divine men connecting to one another in a way that is beautifully inspiring, that has transcended hierarchy, that doesn't put you down or put you in a false throne, that allows your true role and your true nodal position in this beautiful geometry to be actualized and for you to be acknowledged and honored and appreciated for exactly who you are and what you have to offer. That is here, that is now, that is emerging, that is being created. Meet me here, meet us here, and reach out to me if this touches you, because this restored brotherhood is being created, is being erected. And from that emerges so much beauty, so much divine union, so much family and community, and the anchoring of the pillarship of the laws energetically and spiritually that want to re-emerge on this planet to rebuild culture and civilization as we know it into a higher octave. So I allow that invitation to land in you and to see if that fire inside ignites. And if you're all in, let's go.
Yeah, I wanna record that bit and send it to my son, because you know, his dad left when he was 5, and so you know, I've been on this journey of aligning with my twin, and it's, you know, it's taking a moment for us to come into, and so he hasn't quite had that father figure, and so I could relate to quite a lot of what you were saying in terms of his programming around wanting to save me and around wanting to not being able to, you know. And he's such a wise owl, and he's so sensitive. I feel that from what you've said, it's very powerful, and I'm inspired to like, we do a lot of visualization together, and to do a visualization of him visualizing that father being there for him and supporting me, so that he can imprint upon his subconscious mind that has happened, so that he doesn't carry that wound, you know. So yeah, it was very, very powerful, and I hope that men get to hear that. I mean, I'm sure many will, and whoever's meant to hear it will definitely hear it. And soon I'd love to hear about some of your offerings, like, you know, ways that people can work with you, especially men. That would be really cool. But I just wanted to say one more thing about like, I really feel that pornography, back to that other point that you made before about just the thing about pornography, I think that has been specifically targeted to men as a sort of as a very, like, it's even like beyond a virus program. It's like it's such a heinous program that has sent this information into the base chakra and the lower chakras, that has created a fundamental distortion with the sexual energy, and men have been so programmed to not focus on the sacred, you know, with women and stuff like that, to their detriment, absolutely to the whole universe's detriment. And I just, you know, so many men feel guilty about pornography, but you've been targeted. You know, there's been an absolute full-on agenda that has sought to capture your consciousness, you know, and pull it in and like fish it in to that, and for you to understand that is a blatant attack against you. Pornography is an attack against you, and it's an attack against God. It's an attack against all things all that is sacred. And I feel that in this conversation of the masculine, it's like we have to send that out into the universal field, that it's time now for men to awaken and understand that this war on consciousness and how it is being enacted, and this is one of the most fundamental ways, is through hooking men into pornography. And then through that, you are not recognizing your beloved is a goddess. She's God's daughter. She's God's innocent daughter, and she will always be that. But they're making you, those old forces, those nefarious forces, have wanted to hijack your consciousness. And so my deep prayer is for awareness, for men to understand that this is an attack.
Yeah. Yes. There is that divine masculine and feminine energy blueprint consciousness, and then there's a reversal that can be called many things. One name I've heard it called is Azazel Lilith. So the dark masculine Azazel collective force entity that comes through the war machine and through certain distortions in the military, that gives a false power to men, where men feel, oh, they get connected to a false power, and then in that it creates a violence in them, and a tone of well, I belong to this great community, and then they get very rigid and very that's kind of this Azazel force. It's about revenge. It's rigid. It's very violent and penetrative and mocking and superior. Like this is this kind of dark masculine force, or even a being, you could call it, that kind of emerges and works through certain dynamics. Then connected to the pornography, you can almost see it as this inverted reversal feminine being or entity, succubus energy, that actually works through pornography. So if a man is and it's very, 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 very interesting, if a man is offering, is utilizing that energy, what it does is this pornography field and this energy, it's almost like tentacles come from this reversal feminine consciousness, the succubus consciousness, and it hooks through the computer screen, through the actresses and actors, through the computer screen, through the AI tech, through all these different dimensional levels, and it scans for the wounds that need to be soothed, that the human hasn't soothed yet. And through the pornography event, it starts to make the person feel better by soothing the wounds, by filling the voids. And then in the moment of climax, it enters in and hooks in. Ooh. And starts to siphon at a core level and claim the seed, the power, the man, the testicles of that being. And that's how I don't want to use a specific name for that entity, but it works through pornography, and it siphons, and it gets bigger and bigger, and men do not realize that they are getting siphoned, because they get this temporary relief and they feel better, and then they slowly start building this relationship, this unconscious relationship. When they feel stressed, when they feel hurt, when they feel rejected, they go to the pornography, they go to the experience of masturbation, and they're just filling their own voids, not with God, but with a reversal feminine entity that they're bonding with, that they're marrying slowly, and it's taking them away from their divine union, away from their purpose, away from their wealth, and slowly siphoning them into a dark phantom timeline that is really not healthy. So that's my perspective on it. It's a bit extreme, but it's what I've seen.
I love that. I resonate with that big time. Yeah, I really do. Wow. So can you share with us some ways that you like work with people? Like what are you offering at the moment specifically?
Yeah. I work with men in three ways. One is my one-on-one work. I only work with 1 to 2 individuals at a time, and that's in a long container, working one-on-one, a very specific integrated life mastery process, which includes all the things we've been speaking about, unweaving from all these dynamics, working on getting their business aligned with their purpose, working on their relationship, attracting their union, working on really coming into that soul fulfillment, liberation consciousness, and the soul embodiment. And that's the one-on-one work. Then I have the work that I do with my beloved, which is Divine Union Alchemy.
Oh yeah.
And Divine Union Alchemy, we've re-engineered a protocol that we went through to find each other, and then get through some of these initiations to create harmony. And we put it in a 6-week protocol process of taking people through releasing the cords to the X's, restoring that faith and correcting the devotional template of the heart, putting the divine back on the throne, working with the divine union splits, as you said, that we have a protocol that we call timeline correction, where we go back and we resolve what happened during the major splits in Atlantis and Lemuria. Some have it in Egypt. And we help bring back the restored divine union template energetically, so that people can become magnetic to their partners, or if they're in a relationship, that they don't use their partners to fill their voids, and they can be more anchored in that sovereignty and that wholeness, which is actually needed to come into deeper levels of union. Yet you have to really not need the other. You have to really come into a place of you're so sourced, where you're okay sourcing. You're okay sourcing directly and communing, where you're not pulling on the other. And then the new levels of union happen, and then new levels of individuated sovereignty happen. And it's this interesting dance of the more the union comes together, the more sovereign and individuated and whole you become each step of the way. And so that helps unions harmonize when we do that. So that's the 6-week protocol. We have it as a home study course, but even more powerful is joining live, which we have in about 8 days, is our next live iteration of this, where we do Zoom calls. Everyone goes through the material, and then we go deeper into it. We do one-on-one work. We see what's coming up, and we really create a beautiful field where the group really evolves and ascends through deeper levels of that union. And that's a 6-week course starting January 17th. And connected to that, the second 6 weeks, which one could do the first 6 weeks or the full 12 weeks. The second 6 weeks is the practitioner certification. For the first time, we're going to be sharing and teaching, transmitting how to hold space, to utilize the Divine Union protocol for yourself, your partner, or for clients. So you'll be able to take people through the proprietary processes, either as individual sessions or a whole relationship coaching protocol for those that really want to do that. And we'll be getting into the Divine Union work as well. The Mission Codex work as well. The Divine Union Codex and the Mission Codex are so connected, meaning that the union will wobble if one of the individuals is not really in alignment with their purpose and their mission. And if one is not in a union and is really committing to their mission codex, it magnetizes the union as well. So we're going to be really working on getting everyone aligned with that. So that's that. People can reach out to me for that. And I do have a monthly membership where we meet twice a month live to work on integrated life mastery. That's called the Diamond membership. So those are the ways someone can work with me. Can reach out at on Facebook, Lucas Diamond, lucasdiamond.com, or just the best way is just email me at DivineUnionAlchemy@gmail.com.
I'll put all your links, Lucas, above, so that people can contact you. It all sounds absolutely amazing. It really, really does. And I'm sure there are lots of people in my community that are going to be very magnetized to your vibration and your offerings. So I'm really, really grateful. Like, it's very rare for me to kind of like open up a space like this, but I felt such a profound resonance with you. It's quite rare. So what was I going to say? So just to let other people know is that yesterday I hosted a Zoom meeting where we learnt the protocol to raise our Christ oil from the sacral plexus, and as it goes down the chimney of Jacob's ladder, and then how to raise the Christ oil back up through the Ida and the Pingala, the Kundalini energy, and we're talking about the pineal and the pituitary gland of the milk and the honey, and how this relates to all the biblical scriptures and stuff like that. So I hosted a Zoom meeting yesterday. It was so amazing, and we ended up, it was only meant to be an hour, but we actually stayed online for 3 hours because we went into sacred sexuality and so many aspects, really super juicy aspects of this journey. So whoever is watching this or on the replay, that is available. The replay is available of the Christ oil transmission. And on the 11th of January, I will be hosting a global ceremony. And that is actually going to be, because I host ceremonies once or twice a month, always on the numerological portal dates, and also on the quarters and the Beltane and the Imbolcs and what have you. So the first ceremony this year is going to be the 11-1 transmission, and that's going to be focused on what I've been receiving recently, which is about the financial energetics, and what I'm like, my antennae, my spiritual antennae is picking up on very solid timelines that are coming in now that are related to the shift from the old fiat system to the gold back system, and so there's a lot of there's a lot of energy to do with the ground crew is needed to really anchor this timeline and to enable it to come in very, very swiftly. So and it's like, the more we can understand what's actually going on an energetic level, the more kind of like spaciousness there is and ease and flow around the anchoring. So this is very huge work, and there's a lot of abundance codes that are going to be shared and downloaded and transmitted in this ceremony. So I really look forward to sharing that. They are absolutely amazing, the transmissions. They're such a cornerstone of my work. So, but that's basically it. I don't really have any more offerings. I'm going to India, and then I'll be hosting the 2-2 transmission, which will be the in bulk transmission when I'm in India. So that will be exciting. I love in bulk, and I'll be a little bit, I do like being in England for in bulk, because it's when the goddess Bridget, she's been sleeping, in the winter, deep in the winter, and she first begins to stir, and the first little signs of spring come, and it's very, very sacred and precious time. And the snowdrops come. It's like when we get our first flowers. And so yeah, I'll be hosting a 2-2 transmission in Goa, so that'll be exciting. But I don't have any sort of like trainings or anything coming up. I've just published my book, The Untended Altar. I've written 8 books now. So amazing. Yeah, you're writing a book, aren't you?
Yes, 2 books. One on divine union and one on the integrated life mastery system that I've been developing.
How are they going?
Good. It's once we have a nanny support for the baby, it'll get going again. It put everything back in a pause. But I had some time where I was really streaming, and I get into those modes, and I'm sure you can relate, is when it just comes through and just boom, 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 boom. Yeah. I look forward to that again. It feels so wonderful. How do you feel about doing a very short, less than 10 minutes?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Activation for the people. Let's tune in. Let's see. What would be most relevant to support? I think let's bring some healing into the heart, and prepare everyone for everything that's to come, and see if we can bring places to the tender places that maybe have been fragmented to one's own divine masculine, and a healing for the masculine. I'm guided to share that today before we complete. Great. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to invite everyone to get in a comfortable position.
Thank God we don't have to stand up.
Yes. And as we close our eyes and rest our palms face up on our lap, opening our field, calling all our energy to ourself, grounding down, connecting to the earth, bringing that earth energy up into our body, extending our energy up beyond the space we're in, beyond the atmosphere of the earth, even beyond the galaxy, the universe, connecting to the very highest plane, the heart of God, source, your higher self, inviting your higher self to anchor a pillar of light from the highest realm all the way down into your physical body, grounding that all the way in to the earth. Breathing into your heart, letting your heart open like a lotus flower, just blossoming. Visualizing together a platform of light below us, a temple of light surrounding us, pillar of light anchoring from the heart of source to the heart of the earth, and inviting that divine presence, God, Holy Father, Holy Mother, guardians, our higher self, to be present. Only those which are in highest service to our highest path may be present here. And if you give permission to receive what you're here to receive and release what you're here to release, and you're willing to allow divine grace, source, your higher self, and myself to work on you on all levels for your highest and best, I just invite you to say yes, quietly inside or out loud as you prefer now. We ask that all interferences, distortions, trackers, and remote viewers be removed from our temple space now. As we call upon the temple of the Divine Masculine, we call upon access to the Holy Father arc, the Kingship arcs, how these higher dimensional portals that bring forth sacred architecture, laws, blueprints, codexes, structures that are designed to support everyone's evolution on an individual, on a soul family level, on a greater collective species level. And we all have access to this. And yet sometimes through the rejection of the masculine principle, we lose that connection. And so we want to just track any time that we perceived the false masculine, the dark masculine, the reversal masculine, that Azazel false father energy to be the true masculine. Anytime we were tricked into feeling that that masculine energy was actually our true or their true masculine energy, referring to if it came through our father or came through our brother or came through our previous partner or current partner, that energy came through them, we interpreted that as masculine, and then we rejected the father or rejected the masculine or the false father god that came through certain religions and attacked or punished us in some way, and then we rejected the father. Anytime we rejected the father or the masculine, but it really wasn't the true divine masculine, wasn't the true divine father, let's bring understanding, let's bring discernment to all aspects of our inner child, all aspects of ourselves that have been fragmented or hurt or wounded or victimized or violated or brought into submission by that false father, to know that that's not the real masculine, to really distinguish so that we can put boundaries to the false masculine, clear that out of our energy field, and yet open our hearts to trust and embrace again the true divine masculine, the true father, and the true divine union masculine energy within and externally for our highest and best. If this resonates, I invite you to say yes now.
Yes.
And as we say yes together, let's open the field, open your crown, and just we're receiving that overview. And that overview is showing us where we closed our hearts, where we either allowed the false masculine in, thinking it was the true masculine because it came through someone we loved, and then we bonded in a loyalty bond or a trauma bond with that false masculine, or when we created such a strong rejection and boundary and hatred and judgment towards that false masculine, and then that stayed towards all masculines, we're just tracking all of that which has happened. And the first thing we want to do is we want to dismantle the loyalty bond. And so I realized we're going to go a little bit over 10 minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes. Just wanted to realize that this process has a little more intricacy. And so just opening your heart to rest into this space, and to, are you willing to release all loyalty bond, all trauma bond, all time in which you, out of your love, bonded with the dark father, the dark masculine, and thought it was the true father, the true God, the true brother, the true lover, the true energy? Are you willing to fully psychically divorce, unweave, clear all vows, agreements, spells, curses, contracts, covenants, oaths, blood contracts, even blessings that bond you in any way to the dark masculine, false father, false masculine energy? If so, across all timelines, space, and dimension, for all aspects of your being and your lineage. If so, say yes now. And so we're allowing and inviting your higher self to allow that unweaving process, if it's there. And in that unweaving, in that discernment, we're creating new boundaries towards the dark masculine, dark father. And yet we're collapsing all of the boundaries, numbing shields, rejection, hatred that we had towards the dark masculine for being hurt, violated by that energy, that we also applied unconsciously to the true masculine, the true divine masculine, the true father. We transmute that. We bring forgiveness and boundary toward the dark masculine, and then we open up and clear the boundaries and walls towards the true father, the true masculine. We let that energy in. Or for men or anyone that has fragmented aspects of masculine that got rejected, we're bringing those rejected aspects into the embrace of the forgiveness of the true father frequency, and the true mother frequency, and the union frequency, the source frequency, the frequency that says, no matter what you've done, no matter how far that you've fallen, or how much darkness you've accumulated, how much damage you've done to yourself or others, no matter how you feel about anyone or anything or God or yourself, it's all understood, and there's compassion for you, there's embrace for you, there's understanding, there's a space for you back home in the embrace of eternal forgiveness and atonement and redemption and restoration. And you deserve it, and you always have, and that true essence has never been tainted, and you are embraced by the Father, and the Father loves you, and the Mother loves you, and you are welcome. So allow that welcoming to expand to all aspects of selfhood, and bring that in, and then expand to all aspects of the masculine connected to your divine union, and the father, the true father in the higher realm energy, and allow that to start to encode you back into harmony, back into greater wholeness, back into a new dynamic where you can discern between all the different levels, and you can embrace that which is needs embrace, and then put boundaries to that which needs boundaries. We're anchoring this in for everyone listening. With your permission, just say yes. And then we're beaming compassion to the heart of the masculine that got contracted to the war timelines, that fell for the temptation of the reversal feminine succubus, seductress energies. And we are bringing forgiveness to ourselves or others around us who fell in consciousness, and in that we're choosing to hold the energetic structure for our and their rise without pressure, without control. We're trusting in the divine timing, and we're just erecting that structure for ourselves and for our loved ones. This resonates, say yes. We're communing together in this great architecture of anchoring divine union and harmony in the restored masculine, feminine blueprints, heaven on earth, the original Edenic templates. We're connecting to the diamond pillars, and we're integrating, and we're sealing everything we did in this process now. If this resonates, say yes. Filling your heart with as much love as you can, and expanding compassion to all those that you know and love. integrating and sealing this process, giving thanks, giving thanks, giving thanks. And so it is.
Thank you so much, brother. That was very powerful. Let's take a moment now for everyone to integrate these energies. I received a message to ask you to write your email in the chat so that I can just put it in the the thread, because I think there are people that will hopefully contact you. So I'm just going to add my, Lucas's email to the chat, which is actually a few moments behind, so that's okay. Oh, Lucas Diamond, I'll add your I'll add all this to the caption as well.
The process that we did is the unweaving for the false parent, and we did the masculine side of it.
Cool.
And so those who know how to facilitate work can do that for the feminine side and the false mother reversals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step is to do that on a parental and ancestral level for when it came through them, and distinguish between the false father, false mother energies that are external entities that come through versus the wounded aspects that got hardened versus the soul, and having different boundaries and energies with each, and then re-educating the inner child how to be open and yet have boundaries and connect, and then the wounded aspects to integrate. And then the next step is the spiritual sovereignty process to the overlords that have created certain controlling systems and certain dynamics to override through divine law the declaration of spiritual sovereignty, to transcend those laws, not just the legal system laws that do engage as a level of ownership over us, but actually on the highest level of time, karma, these lords that think that they own humanity, just transcending all of that. And then we come through the integration of the soul aspects through the different levels and clearing the caps. Most people have a cap on that between the soul level and the oversoul level, or they're between the oversoul and the monadic level. And we want to just clear that little capping that's like a collective apathy, and just like you said earlier, break through the firmament and just energetically clear the space, integrate our aspects, claim our true spiritual sovereignty and our template, and operate from there. And it's a beautiful, liberating spiritual sovereignty process that I really just, for me, it's the most fulfilling thing on this earth, to experience that level of liberation and to keep going. So I'm so, I don't know, I feel so connected and proud of you too, for who you are and what you've done. I really have so much love and respect for you. So thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you so much. I received that. Thank you so much. And just if you've got a few words to leave us with, I received a message to ask you one more thing, and this is a message for the divine feminines that are magnetizing their divine masculines. Is there any tip that you could give the feminines, which is what my audience predominantly is?
Yes. The correction of the devotional template, where we place the divine on the throne of our hearts. We really see through the romantic conditioning where we've been subtly conditioned, and also we inherited this romantic heart conditioning from our ancestors and thousands of years of how relationships on this planet were operating, and which which is putting the throne to our future beloved. The longing for our beloved made us think that to exalt them on the throne would bring them to us, would show God how much we wanted it, would show God how much we're actually ready if we just put them on the throne. When it actually creates a collapsed template, when we really want to put them kind of in that triangle, we want to put them as a base of the triangle, and then put God on the top of the throne here. And it's an energetic, emotional, spiritual actualization that happens in the high heart with the flowering of the permanent seed atom and the amoria flame. So it's as much emotional as it is causal, spiritual, etheric. And then when we do that, we allow the divine presence to fill that base that we've created for them. We've cleared out the X's, we've cleared out all the false twin energetics, we've cleared out all of that, and we have that space available for them. We haven't put them up, we have them where they're meant to be. God is here, and then we ask God to fill that place, to make that place whole, so we feel whole, so our own divine masculine, cosmic masculine is feeling that. And then we really commit and offer ourselves in that devotional, surrender to the divine. And we go through our numbing shields, the places where we really have a 10 out of 10 desire, but we're allowing it to be an 8 or a 9 because it's scary to feel it, or any other plethora of reason. We go through all the different reasons why we wouldn't allow ourselves to receive, all the doubt, all the unworthiness, all the disbelief. And we really come into that faith that we know it's going to happen in divine timing. We're okay when it happens, and we trust, and we start to emanate our true soul song. We go through the divine union splits, we restore that energy template, we become an emissary of divine union in our own field of that spiritual sovereignty, and then we live our purpose, and we give our gift, and we thrive. And then we listen very deeply each day, and we take action based on that, and that moves us forward. So that's just an overall mapping. It's what we take people through in the Divine Union Alchemy protocol that we're going to be doing. But I wanted to provide that for those who, just want to take themselves through that process. And ultimately, the last thing I'll share that I think is relevant is to understand that your divine union partner never, ever, 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 ever wanted to hurt you. It was never their intention to hurt you. In their heart of hearts and their deepest soul, they never actually wanted to hurt you. They always wanted love. They always wanted loyalty. It was the cunning, nuanced infiltration of these forces that caused temptations and separation, and then caused these subtle leaks and then these deep agony. How painful it was for him to be separated from you. How painful it was to feel that you rejected him or didn't see him as enough, or that you somehow abandoned him, or felt whatever you felt, however they tricked him. How hard it was, so hard that he allowed other temptation in to try and heal how hurt he is about not being with you, but all he really wants is to be in union with you. That's what he wants at the core of his soul, and he only wants to serve and see you exalted. That's the truth. So if you can come back to that truth, it will allow the unconscious grudges to start to come up, bubble up, and start to be healed as you see the truth of him. And that will also invite him to remember his truth and remember, wow, he doesn't want any of these other energies in the field. He doesn't want to self-soothe through addiction or through distraction. And he's willing to move through his pain and his distortion to come to you, to find you, to exalt you in who you are, and to be risen to who he is. He is willing, but he needs you to invite him through forgiveness, through seeing him for what he really is and what he really wants. And then you need to choose God first and foremost so strongly, so strongly, that you're just filled with a wellness and a well-being and a wholeness that really doesn't need him to show up or do anything for you to be like, oh man, I'm so loved, and I am filled. And yet your desire is so sacred and cherished that you get to have it. You get to be whole and filled and complete and still want him, and still desire, God, I deeply desire my union, and I'm so happy and fulfilled with you, but feel this desire and feel it with me, and let's have fun with it. So that's what I would share with, for all
That's
of it.
very, very powerful. And I definitely, I really felt that in my heart, and I'm so grateful. And we're all so grateful to have you here. And there was something I wanted to say about in this Zoom meeting that I did yesterday, where we were talking about the Christ oil. A lot was coming up about the true role of, you know, the divine feminine as the leader in the areas of sexuality, sacred sexuality, and many aspects of the twin flame union. And that is kind of like what you're saying as well. It's like, I don't know, I just felt this connection, and somehow just to, because what's coming through, there's a sort of like, you know, the divine feminine has been conditioned, like, we are the rose, we're not the bee. The divine masculine is the bee that is magnetized to the rose, and it is our job to sweeten our nectar through our devotion to God and putting God on the throne, and all that is how we become magnetic to our divine masculine. But what I've noticed, that on the ground level, the divine masculines are so traumatized by the matrix and in survival mode, locked into survival mode, whereas many of the feminines have come out of survival mode, definitely in thrive mode now. Just the missing link is the divine masculine, who's locked into the survival timelines. And so they're what seems to be sort of like the theme of 2023, of this particular cycle, is an impetus for the divine feminine to for the rose. Sometimes the rose has to go and sort of like be around the bee, so that the bee can really bask in her codes. Because a lot of there's been an energy of the divine feminine waiting. Oh, he'll wake up, and he is waking up, but he's so locked in trauma, he's so frozen from the matrix, that it's almost like there's this invitation now for the divine feminine to go there in her overflowing juiciness and connection to all that is, and to make the connection. That's what I'm feeling.
Yes. And sometimes a man has to go to rock bottom, to where he's so desperate on his knees that he's finally willing to break through the illusion, the apathy, the numbing shields, and to in a sense, energetically allow our counterparts to go through what they need to. So as you become the blossomed rose in communion, in true communion, and many women will realize that the level of communion and sovereignty they had in their connection was up only this deep, and there was this place that they still were rejecting on some level. And then by surrendering even further, it allows that divine presence to reach their union partner and then create the environment they need to wake up. And sometimes that environment will be, like you said, the feminines will be guided to blossom and share more, and kind of give the whiff of this divine union to wake them up. And sometimes it's just going to look like this fierce allowing of that man to fall so deep to rock bottom that it hits so hard that it wakes them up. And a lot of men are going to go through that. And then once they wake up, then the rose has to be guided to be around at that time, because at that time that they wake up, they need you there. They need you there. And they need you to hold space for them to rehabilitate to who they are.
I really agree. And it's like so many of the cosmic messages and the synchronistic messages are all leading to that. You know, the divine feminine has been doing such amazing work, you know, and she really has got to a beautiful place of overflowing in grace. And yeah, and a lot of these masculines are hitting rock bottom now. And there is, I feel that in my own union, actually, there's this this is what's going on. And so it's going to be very, very interesting to see, because I've definitely been sort of like, oh no, I'm not meant to make a physical move, like that's not my role. But it's like, actually it might be, you know, to go and to be there as the sisters, as the best friend in the multiverse. You know, I'm here for you right now.
And the union, your union, when I'm speaking to the general public, your union might be on the other side of a guidance that makes no sense. Like, you get guided to join something that you would never want to join, or go through a training you never would want to your ego would never want to, or would feel was a match for you. But it's like, you get it once, you listen again, you get it twice, you listen, you get it 3 times in true alignment through the still point, you do it. That's how Saskia and I came together, is I listened to a 3 call to join something that I would never have if I didn't get that, and that's where we met. So I'm just inviting everyone to really do your daily practice so that you can have access to the still point. Dedicate your 20-30 minutes in the morning to your meditation, to so that you can get through beyond. Don't keep your phone on airplane mode. Don't go into the AI devices. Stay attuned, and then listen for the day. Listen for the action steps, and merge your feminine surrendered flow with divine guidance, and that you take executive action on to move you closer to all that you desire. It's happening.
Oh, that's so amazing, Lucas. It's really amazing. And I definitely would like us to do another cosmic chat. I'd love to share with you more about astrology and what I've been learning about the journey of the twins as we come from antimatter into matter, and we incarnate on the sine wave, and which is duality, and the whole astrological cycle is literally about the twins' journey from source, from antimatter into matter, into, as we go into Scorpio and separation energy back into union. It's just the most exquisite esoteric tale, and it deeply connects all of these wonderful sciences, you know. So I'd love us to share more about that. But it's been really, really wonderful connecting with you. Yes. And yeah. So I'll just see if there's any comments on the chat. Powerful words. Wonder if this is recorded for others to hear. Yes, of course. Ida, wow, that was awesome. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. Really enjoyed this amazing discussion on the divine masculine and feminine. Thank you so much. That meeting was so powerful. So real. Wow. The father mother son thing is so true. Would love to know which cave in India you visited.
It was actually Ramana Maharishi's cave.
Oh really? Oh, I've been being called to Aranchala.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, God, that's another sign. Yeah, I've got a year visa to India. I'm going to be like back and forth to India this year.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
it was an honor to be here with you and with everyone. I extend my love to you all, and I'm so grateful, and I look forward to the next time.
Yeah, and on behalf of myself and all our beautiful community, just sending you and your beloved Saskia and your beautiful daughter so much love and so much grace. And may you have a blessed day today, and may you feel God's presence all around you, tickling you, bringing you so much happiness and joy and light. And may you feel all of our love. We're all deeply connected now, and my community is so loving and so powerful, and you've really entered into this sacred field of such divine connections, and we're so grateful for you, brother Lucas, and for all the work that you have done to get to this level for us to have this beautiful conversation. So on behalf of all of us, God bless you.
Thank you.
Amazing. So I'll send this video to you, and I'll upload it on all my platforms, and hopefully you'll share it with your community as well. Absolutely. And then as many people as possible will get to see this.
Yes. And may everyone just deepen into how loved you are. If there was a vision I could impart is just this huge cosmic embrace, just arms coming around you, just hugging you in to this incredible embrace, to surrender to the embrace. Let's surrender to the embrace today. How loved we are and how much we unconsciously block it sometimes, and that's okay. But how much we can just choose to just let it in another little percentage each day. Let's just be embraced more and more each day. And as we allow ourselves to be embraced, it expands how much we can embrace others. And we just increase this huge cosmic embrace, all of us together. We're in this all the way home. I love you all, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Namaste. Okay, everyone. So I'm gonna stop the I'm going to stop the recording, but I think I've probably got to end it for it to end. So I will say goodbye to you, Brother Lucas, as well. God bless you. See you later. Bye, everyone. We love you. Bye.